In this video, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through test number 12, target B. The first part of our target B has us look at and write some piecewise equations. So we did an activity on Desmos that was the pumpkin farms, and we looked at some signs, and we were able to, based off those signs, create a piecewise equation. You have an example of this somewhere in your notebook, so definitely take a look there. So Murphy Pumpkin Farms is opening coming fall 2025, and we will be hanging up these signs. So we want to go ahead and create a piecewise function that communicates to customers how much our pumpkins, like based off their weight, how much you will pay. So any pumpkin that is 10 pounds or less is going to cost us $2.50 per pound. So that's going to be, as an equation, $2.50 per pound. I have to write a variable that represents, like this variable represents pounds. So if your pumpkin is 2 pounds, then you'd pay $5. If your pumpkin was 4 pounds, then you'd pay $10. So you would use X to go ahead and represent what your pounds of your pumpkin cost. Now, this equation is only good for pumpkins that are 10 pounds or less. So there's no such thing as a negative pumpkin weight, or I should say a negative pounds. And so our inequality is going to be any pumpkin that is greater than 0 and less than or equal to 10 is going to use that cost model, $2.50 per pound. If I continue to read, it says pumpkins that are greater than 10 pounds are going to be $25. So that's just a flat fee, which means my other piece to this is going to be just a flat fee of $25, and that's for any pumpkin that is greater than 10. And that's all you needed to do here. If you wanted to use a fancy bracket or if you wanted to give it a function name, those were all bonus things that you could do. Number 4, we had to look at a graph and we had to sort of fill in the blank. So between -1 and 1, so that's here on my graph, we have this portion of the graph, and you can see that it goes through the number 2. So that's going to be this blank here. Anything between -1 and 1 is going to be 2. Where we see 4, look at 4. This is your line here for 4. That's going to start at 1. But it's going to end at 10. Starts at 1, ends at 10. That's it. The question 5 and 6 has us look at a piecewise function and then find particular values. And those values can be found by looking at our inequalities. So when you see the number f of -1, your job is to think, is -1 less than or equal to -4? Or is -1 greater than -4? The easiest way to determine this is to think of a number line. So here's 0. -4 is on this side of 0, and -1 just moves just a bit closer to 0, meaning that -1 is actually bigger than -4. So if it's bigger than -4, that means that's that inequality, which means that we're using this piece of our equation. So -4. Instead of writing x, I'm going to go ahead and substitute in for x, -1. That number goes directly in there, plus 7. Use a calculator or mental math to go ahead and simplify. -4 times a -1 is going to be a positive 4. 4 plus 7 is equal to 11. Let's go ahead and look at this next piece. It's 3. So again, your question is 3 less than or equal to -4? Or is 3 greater than -4? And the answer is 3 is definitely bigger than -4. 3 is over here on my number line. So just like we did in part A, you're going to be using the same piece. So -4, instead of writing x, you're going to go ahead and write 3. Use mental math or a calculator to go ahead and simplify. -4 times 3 is going to be a -12 plus 7, which is equal to -5. Excellent. Let's move to number 6. Ooh, this one has 3 pieces. So our first problem, f of 5. You're going to go through and you're going to say, is 5 less than or equal to 3? No. Is 5 between 3 and 8? Yes. So that means that we are using this piece. 2 times, instead of writing x, we're going to go ahead and write 5. 2 times 5 plus 5. 10 plus 5 is equal to 15. Moving on to part B, we have 12. So you're going to go through the list again. Is 12 less than or equal to 3? Heck no. Is 12 in between 3 and 8? Absolutely not. But is 12 bigger than or equal to 8? Yes. That means that we're going to be using this piece. So 1/2 times 12 plus 5. Half of 12 is 6, and 6 plus 5 is 11. Excellent. Last piece here, I have f of 3. So we go back through and say, hey, is 3 less than or equal to 3? And the answer is yes, I am definitely equal to 3. So I am using this piece. Negative, instead of writing x, I substitute that with the 3. Negative 3 plus 5. Negative 3 plus 5 is positive 2. If you want more practice, we did do an iExcel on this. And that's in fact where I screenshotted these problems. So definitely go back into Google Classroom, find that iExcel, practice some problems to help prepare you for the test.